Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiara with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, Season 5, Episode number 1. I'm just now today getting around to checking out this new season of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. And this particular show, the Hollywood, installation of the Love and Hip Hop franchise will always have a special part in my heart and on my channel because it's the first thing that I kind of started reviewing when I started my channel 2 years ago. So I figured I would continue on with the tradition and review this show. I love reviewing products and things. That's probably my number one thing, but reviewing shows is like a close second. So I'm gonna go through my notes. I'm probably gonna try to read them verbatim because I have so many thoughts about what happened on this particular episode of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood that if I go off on a tangent, it'll make this video a lot longer than it should be. So I'm just going to pull up my notes real quick and we will get into my thoughts on what happened on this episode. If you guys are wondering what I'm leaning on, we just had our bed delivered from IKEA today, and I'm laying up against the box. We haven't assembled it just yet, so that's what I'm leaning up against. But give me a second to pull these notes up, and we will go ahead and get started. Okay. All right, y'all. So, like I said, Love and Hip Hop Hollywood has a special place in my heart and on my channel. And Love and Hip Hop Hollywood just has this lower level of ratchetness that makes it more watchable for me, as opposed to Atlanta and New York, which bore me. I feel like Love and Hip Hop Atlanta has changed the cast a little bit too much. And like 90% of the cast I don't even know anymore. Love and Hip Hop New York has changed their cast up quite a bit to the point where it's not really interesting anymore. But Love and Hip Hop Hollywood has always been able to kind of keep my interest, and it doesn't have the high levels of ratchetivity that some of the other ones have. And speaking of ratchet, K. Michelle is a new addition to the show this year, but she's not a new addition to the franchise. Just to be frank, I'm not a fan of K. Michelle. I want her to win. I want her music to take off. And I wish her all the best in her success and all that kind of stuff. However, I was not a fan of her when she first came on the scene in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And I find it ironic that she opened up the show with a monologue about how everyone in LA is thirsty when this is her third Love and Hip Hop franchise. That sounds pretty thirsty to me. I mean, I think that K. Michelle has achieved enough success to where she doesn't have to do Love and Hip Hop anymore. And I liken her return to Love and Hip Hop to like what a mistake Cardi B would be making by returning to Love and Hip Hop. Like, you did well on Love and Hip Hop. You gained enough fame to parlay that into, your own show and, taking off of your music and your career and all that stuff. And it's like, you don't need Love and Hip Hop anymore. And the fact that you returned just kind of comes off as thirsty to me. But moving on, despite all that, K. Michelle is now going by Kimberly, and she's turning over a new leaf in her life by trying to be a more mature and less volatile person. So in the spirit of starting over and turning over new leaves, I'm going to give Kimberly a chance. Even though I'm not a fan of her or a fan of her music, I will give her a chance this season, just in the spirit of being unbiased and being fair. Now, moving on, yo, what's up with that shady monologue that she said? Now, chances are K. Michelle didn't write the monologue herself, but she called Lyrica and A1 a wannabe power couple. She said that Ray J and Princess think that they deserve it all when they have been reckless in their relationships, etc. It was shady. But it's K. Michelle. Moving on, we see Bridget Kelly, Kimberly, and Moniece. Kimberly talks about how her butt implants have impacted her life and why she's getting them removed. Thank goodness. Hopefully she starts a trend. I feel like these butt implants have definitely got out of hand. It seems like people have not been able to, like, people get breast implants all the time, and there are, for the most part, from what I understand, there are not that many complications regarding the implants, to the point where I don't understand why they can't just adapt that technology for butt implants. The butt implant situation type of thing is just getting out of hand, going to somebody's house or going to a hotel to have your butt injected with God knows what. People have died from this stuff. It's just out of hand. And you definitely shouldn't take shortcuts when it comes to the health of your body. And I feel as if K Michelle can be a catalyst for change when it comes to people who want to get butt implants so bad that they go to somebody who does not have any type of medical training or anything. So I do hope that what she is doing influences other people to not go under the knife of somebody who's not certified to have a knife. But moving on, Bridget Kelly talks about Booby. Apparently, Kimberly does not like Brooke Valentine and calls her a fake Angela Bassett, but Bridget shuts that down real quick because apparently now that the whole Bridget, Booby, Brooke love triangle thingy is over with, they have become real friends and are no longer frenemies, which I love. I love seeing people get past all of their BS and, become friends. But moving on, Kimberly asked Bridget to open up for her during a show, and the topic of Lyrica comes up. I guess apparently Lyrica was supposed to open up for the show. But K Michelle says that Lyrica opened up for her at her album release, and Lyrica was an hour late, which caused her to be charged overage charges for holding the venue for too long. So, that's an issue for K Michelle. And she said that as Kimberly, she's going to have a talk with Lyrica and get that straightened out because she doesn't want Lyrica to have to make the same mistakes that she made. And we'll learn about those mistakes at the end of the show. Moving on, Moniece is there, and she's been effing up yet again. Moniece suggested on social media that Brandy was a surrogate for Ray J and Princess, and she says she did it because she doesn't like anyone with the last name Norwood. Now, if I remember correctly, Brandy was working with a girl group or something that was supposed to include Moniece, but that didn't work out. Don't quote me on that. And also, it's been said that Moniece has a brother that used to mess with Brandy. He has some type of issues, maybe some type of mental instability issues, and that once he started messing around with Brandy, it got worse. So Moniece does not have, a warm place in her heart for any of the Norwoods. So yeah, don't quote me on any of that, but those are just things that I have heard. Moving on, Nikki Baby, Princess, and Lyrica are at the Boss Bitch Brunch. I really wish women would stop being okay with being referred to as the B word. That bothers me a little bit. But moving on, Princess is showing and she's filming with Nikki Baby. And I was like, I don't remember them ever being friends, or anything. But okay, they have resolved their issues and now they are on good terms, which is good. Like I said, I like when people learn to put their beefs aside and do some conflict resolution. It's a very grown-up thing to do. And we find that on a lot of these Love and Hip Hop things, people are very childish. So when you see something out of the ordinary, you got to applaud it. They came together. Great. Now, Forest Rocks, for those of you who watch Forest Rocks reviews, feels like Princess has a hard time making and keeping friends, and I agree. So her squashing her beef with, or whatever beef she had with Nikki Baby is good for her because she would probably have nobody to film with. But moving on, Lyrica shows up and she says that she needs to get a toy because A1 is married to the studio. They haven't been getting it on lately. And then we're introduced to K Michelle's former assistant, Paris Phillips, who has come up from assisting and is making a name for herself, doing some promotion or whatever. Now, apparently, this is the same assistant that Kimberly claims stole her credit cards. And we know there was an issue with that on K Michelle's show, her own spinoff show. Now, Paris claims that The credit card situation was an account that was set up on her phone, and she incurred a $50 charge to a car service. And K. Michelle was mad over $50. Don't know how much of that I believe, but whatever. Princess is upset about the surrogate rumors from Moniece, and I understand that. I've never cared for Moniece. I've never liked her, and I think it's low of her to spread rumors about the baby. But Moniece is a butthurt type of person, and she does not get over things easily. She holds grudges. So the fact that her motherhood has been questioned so many times on this show, makes her feel as if she has license to talk about other people's children as well. But moving on, Princess is not speaking to Ray J right now. She moved out because old habits die hard. Ray J wanted the baby, but he's really not being there for his pregnant wife. Now, the way, let Princess tell it, they got into an argument and Ray J left and went to Vegas. Let Ray J tell it, Ray J went to Vegas to work. I don't know who to believe, but moving on. Next, we see Ray J, A1, and Solo Lucci. Apparently, A1 made it to the urban charts. Congratulations. Solo Lucci got a huge advance from his new label, and he's spending the money on what rappers spend it on: cars, parties, and women. I hope he's using that same money to make smart investment decisions, but look at Solo Lucci. It's probably not true. Anyways, he hasn't changed his look, which is weird because I feel like he should have got enough heat from it from last season to realize that the Cruella de Lucci look does not work for him. But whatever. Ray J is getting an apology gift for his wife, Princess, because of a post she put on Instagram, some subliminal messages. Ray J says that his wife is harmonial. He meant hormonal, but he said harmonial, which made me laugh. But he tells them about the photo that Princess received from a girl who was in Ray J's room. Ray J claims that it was the girlfriend of somebody he invited over so that they could work in his hotel room, and it made Princess upset. I get why she was upset. She's pregnant. She is alone. You have left her to go do work or whatever. This is her first pregnancy, first child. I would imagine that she's in a state where she needs as much support as she can get, and you have left her alone. And next thing you know, she sees a photo of you in a hotel room that she gets in her, DMs. And I can understand why that would definitely set her off, considering that you have a history of not being honest with your wife. So I get it. Ray J thinks that, now that they are married, Princess should just turn off her radar for his BS and basically be like, well, this girl sent me a photo of her in the same hotel with you. But because you're my husband, I'm just going to take it. That's not the way it works, Ray J. You don't get a pass just because you're married now. It's just, and like a child, the situation with Princess being upset with him about the picture just made him want to party more. And Ray J has a dad. I don't understand why a guy who has a dad who his father seems like he's a good dad, why is he not getting good manly advice from his father? He just hasn't grown up. Ray J has stayed in boy mode for so long. And now that he's about to have a child, he can't do that anymore. He definitely needs to grow up. Moving on, we see K. Michelle and Lyrica. And K. Michelle, or Kimberly, is trying to take on a more mature role and be a big sister to Lyrica. And that's cool. Lyrica, K. Michelle or Kimberly tells Lyrica about the whole situation where you arrived late and I was charged overage charges because we ran an hour long because you were an hour late. Lyrica doesn't believe that she was an hour late, and she immediately throws management under the bus. I get that Kimberly is trying to be mature, but if all it takes is one little disagreement for you to go back to K. Michelle, then are you really trying? I mean, everybody is cool until they're not cool. You don't have to create an entirely different persona, just because you're trying to be less volatile. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Because, if K Michelle just, walks into a place and she starts a conversation with somebody and that person says one thing that she disagrees with, and that's all it takes for her to go off, it's still K Michelle. I mean, you are who you are until somebody sets you off, and then you're who you are to the 10th degree. But if you claim that you're the calm Kimberly now, and it still only takes one thing to set you off, then you're the same person that you were originally. Like, are you really trying? But moving on, I'm still going to try to give her a chance, but I felt like this disagreement shows that Kimberly and K Michelle are basically the same person. But moving on, I get that Kimberly is mad, and I would be too if Lyrica cost me money. I mean, all she has to do is show a receipt saying, hey, because you were an hour late, I got charged this much in overage charges. And, demand your money or something like that, or deduct from the cost of Lyrica opening up for you again. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But how crazy is it that Kimberly says that she doesn't fake anything right before she has to get an IV in her arm because she has fake butt implants? Now, come on. That don't make no sense. Now, she calls Lyrica and A1's marriage a music marriage that only exists so that they can benefit off of each other, that she doesn't see that they are affectionate. She does not believe that their marriage is a real marriage, full of love and all that kind of stuff. Now, it's not Kimberly or K Michelle's place to say what goes on in their marriage, but okay. She took the disagreement too far by making it personal. So, K Michelle says that Lyrica's mama is the real star, and if that was true, her mama would have made it by now. Now, Lyrica's mama has sang background for, I think she said, like Stevie Wonder, some of the greats. If she's been around that long to sing background for those people and she hasn't made it, she doesn't have enough star power on her own. She's a background singer, okay? But moving on. Lyrica left, and then Lyrica decided to come back, and they get to arguing again. K Michelle, who was no longer Kimberly at this point, is trying to fight with an IV in. They argue about plastic surgery, about taking each other home. But the things get interesting when K Michelle claims that Lyrica has been trying to get with Safaree on the side, and she claims that Safaree has shared text message conversations between Lyrica and Safaree to prove it. I don't know how much of that I believe. We don't know K Michelle to be a liar. So there is an element of the whole situation that I believe may be true. But then I would never want to think that Lyrica would cheat on A1, because I do think that they have a real marriage and a real relationship outside of music. But moving on. Next, we have Solo Lucci having a welcome to rich party. And this is why a lot of old rappers are broke now. This is why a lot of athletes are broke now. They have parties for no reason. Welcome to rich party because he got a nice advance on on a new from a new record label, but whatever. At this party, we see Nicki Baby, Tierra Marie, Ray J, A1, and eventually Lyrica. So Tierra has matured. She actually had a little conversation with Ray J with her. I didn't know that Skirt Skirt song was Solo Lucci, but okay, congratulations to him for getting a song that I actually recognize, even though I don't care for that type of music. Some struggle-faced stripper finds A1 to discuss making the ever so popular move from being a stripper to a rapper. Jocelyn Hernandez, Cardi B, other people whose names I can't think of right now. But moving on, she raps a very basic rap. It's super basic. Very basic, but nonetheless, A1 is intrigued. She starts twerking, and A1 is throwing money at her when Lyrica arrives. Now, Lyrica overreacts, but because of the situation she just came from with K Michelle, I kind of get it. I don't think that she should have hit A1. It was a little funny. The screen went black, so I was like, what happened? Did this cut out or something? But no, she hit him. That was funny to me. But she shouldn't have hit him in front of all the people. It wasn't right. I don't know why it was so funny to me. Domestic violence is not funny. But moving on, The stripper apologized. At this point, we didn't know her name. But her name is Apple Watts. She apologizes, and Lyrica starts talking to her husband. Apple gets mad because Lyrica called her the B word while chastising her husband. And then Lyrica just starts calling her all type of fruit. Hey, rotten apple, banana. I thought it was funny. But they go outside, A1 and Lyrica, to discuss while Lyrica... Oh, excuse me, y'all. Oh, that was a rough sneeze. Excuse me. Okay. I'm back. Lyrica and A1 go outside to discuss why Lyrica is so upset, and she tells a story about what happened with K. Michelle. She doesn't really tell all of it, but she tells enough of it to get A1 to the point where he wants to go and check K. Michelle. I do like that A1 is willing to stand up for his woman and his marriage, unlike Ray J. Okay, but speaking of Ray J, next, we see Ray J and his mother. Let me tell y'all something. I cannot stand Sonya Norwood. I do not like her. I don't like anything about her. I don't like her at all. I blame her for Ray J's childish behavior. She has been babying him. I don't know how... It's very interesting how two people could grow up in the same house and same environment and be totally different. I will say Brandy has an element to her that is a little off, a little crazy, if we can use that word. But Ray J has this element to him that he is just childish, like Peter Pan. He'll never grow up. I don't get it. But I think that she's been babying him, and I blame her for that. I severely dislike her. I think she mostly looks out for herself and for the money. I agree that it's not good for business for Princess to put out information that would suggest that Ray J is cheating on his wife. But what is Sonya's position on Moniece saying that Brandy is the surrogate for Ray J and Princess? We didn't hear nothing about that. So I think that Sonya just has a personal vendetta against Princess. And I find it interesting that she didn't say nothing about the Moniece situation. I feel like that's bad for business as well. And you don't give a flying flip about Moniece. So I just don't get it. I don't like Sonya. I just don't like her at all. And I do think that she is overstepping her boundaries by saying that Ray J has to get his wife to make a public apology about what's going on in their marriage. It's not your position to say. And basically Sonya is punishing Princess by saying that if she does not publicly apologize, then I have nothing else to say to her. Don't do her any favors, okay? Sonya not talking to Princess will be the best thing that ever happened in Princess's life. So don't tempt her, Sonya, okay? And then Sonya said, well, you're building a brand and it's damaging to your brand for her to say things about you cheating on her. Now, I agree, like I said, that it is bad for business for Princess to say that Ray J is cheating on her. But let's keep it real. Ray J already has a brand that's based on disrespecting women, that's based on being a womanizer, being with multiple women at the same time, making sex tapes. He already has a brand. And for Princess to say that he is a cheater is on brand for him. So whatever, Sonya. Moving on. Next, we see Apple Watts, who actually has a little storyline on this. I don't know how she managed to get on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, but kudos to her for, making it, okay? She is a real cast member. She will be at the reunion, so I'm just very surprised. She looks a lot better in regular light. Apparently, Lily is her stud friend that helps her out. And Lily is telling her you can't allow people to trigger you off. I mean, the point of Apple Watts talking to A1 was to help her career. And now not only is she not on good terms with A1, she's not on good terms with his wife because she allowed that situation to trigger her. So now Apple is going to have to make amends with both of them if she wants to work. If she wants A1 to help her. So moving on, we see AD, Moniece, Mr. Ray, Bridget Kelly, and Paris at the Dig the Kicks clothing line launch. AD apparently is launching an activewear kind of clothing line. I am so sick of people launching clothing lines. Like, can we get more creative with our investments in our entrepreneurship ventures, okay? everybody who has a little bit of fame wants to do a clothing line, shoe line, that kind of stuff. To get creative, okay? Do something else. Do something different that will set you apart from the other love and hip hop people that you're competing with the other people who are coming up in the game that are starting clothing lines too, okay? Moving on. Mr. Ray looks crazy with those braids. I don't like that style on him, okay? As soon as Paris sees Moniece, she drops a little pin, being messy, to let Princess know Moniece is here. And of course, Princess shows up. I get that Princess does not want Moniece to get off scot-free for these rumors about the Brandy being their surrogate. However, Princess is pregnant. She cannot get into these kind of beefs now that she's with child, and the health and safety of her baby should come first. And in this way, Princess needs to grow up just as much as Ray J needs to grow up. Now, Paris comes in with Princess and stops the whole stupid fashion show. Why do you need a fashion show for activewear? Moving on. Princess makes an announcement and calls Moniece a fake lesbian that needs to worry about taking her meds. Now, AD brings up the sex tape situation, which Princess denies, but they play back some footage, and I totally forgot about that stuff. Moniece is the type of person who does very tit-for-tat things. You did something to me, I do something to you, and it never, ever ends. And because Princess is just as petty and childish, it never, ever ends. Princess was definitely wrong for the whole sex tape situation. At the end of the day, Princess did not put out this sex tape, but now that I think about it, they just both need to stop with the back and forth. One of them needs to be the bigger person and just leave everything alone. It escalates every time. Moniece was fuming, but what really set her off is when Princess said that maybe I can show you how to be a good mother. That burned Moniece up. And as much as I am not into the mommy shaming thing anymore, because I do believe that Moniece is putting her best foot forward and trying to be a better mom for her son, Cameron. But I'm going to, give a little bit of a, snap for Princess. And here's why. Not that I condone the mommy shaming thing, because I definitely do not. For me, whenever Moniece and Princess get into it, which has been on basically every season of the show, Moniece more than likely wins. Moniece knows how to have a chill demeanor that makes Princess look like a fool when she jumps stupid and gets out of line. And this time, the shoe was on the other foot. Moniece lost it while Princess was being cool, calm, and collected. And I'm like, you know what, Princess, one for you. You finally, you finally got to a point where you could get under Moniece's skin and made Moniece look crazy instead of yourself. So kudos, to Princess, one for her. Okay. But moving on, Paris is mad that Moniece came after Princess with the chair. But Paris, why aren't you mad with yourself? Because you're the one who brought her to the fashion show anyway. So you're the reason for this, Paris. Moving on. Next, we see A1 and Kimberly. And let me tell y'all, I loved this part of the show. I loved it so much because the same way that Moniece tends to get the better of Princess when they are having an altercation, whenever you get into it with K. Michelle almost always comes out on top because she can read you. She knows how to end an argument. I mean, she's just very good at reading people. She's very good at arguing back and forth. This time, somebody got the best of her and was going toe-to-toe with her. So I like this part of the show. Now, so A1 shows up at Kimberly's house and he says if Kimberly don't act right, he gonna send her fake booty back to Atlanta because apparently he was her last hope in LA or whatever. So K. Michelle says that she ain't afraid of no Negro with pearls. I get it. So K. Michelle tells her side of the story when it comes to her altercation with Lyrica and tells A1 that Lyrica is spoiled. Now, A1 disagrees and thinks that K. Michelle is just jealous because Lyrica has achieved moderate success and has charted while she's an independent artist, as opposed to K. Michelle, who has a major label and her last album just flopped. I think that jealousy is too strong a word. I think that K. Michelle was genuinely trying to come with Lyrica on some big sister advice type of situation, and that things just kind of just kind of got out of whack. They just got out of control. I don't think that K Michelle has any reason to really be jealous of Lyrica, honestly. But I do think that A1, it was a good enough read from A1. Now, moving on, the Safaree thing comes up, and K Michelle says that she ain't never lied. We have not known K Michelle to be a liar. Many of the things that she has, let come out of her mouth have been things that have turned out to be true. But A1 takes comfort in knowing that if Lyrica were to try sleep around, she would do it with someone who's more lit than he is. If that's a comforting thought for you, okay. But moving on, Kimberly says that, I'm always going to tell you the truth. And A1 says, well, here's my truth. Your album sucked. He said your vocals sucked. Kimberly says, well, you produced some of the album. He said, I know. I had to really doctor it up, basically. He said, the industry ain't messing with you, Kimberly. And A1 is going toe-to-toe with her. And I loved it. Because for the most part, K Michelle will just knock anybody out of the ring who tries to get into an argument with her. But A1 was, matching wits. And I loved it. Anyways, he claimed that she was banned from the radio. I looked it up, and it looks like it's true. Apparently, she missed some type of morning breakfast promotion. She was supposed to sit down and have breakfast with some of her fans at a radio station, but because her hotel was an hour away, she decided to get sleep instead of doing the breakfast promotion. So the radio conglomerate that owns like 55 stations in 15 major cities decided to ban her music from the radio on their particular stations. And since then, her albums have not been doing as good as her previous albums. So maybe there's definitely some truth to the radio ban. But moving on, K Michelle claims that A1 is an underling and that he's not a real producer, but I think that's true. I think K Michelle is just grasping at straws because A1 pulled her card. But moving on, that is the end of this particular review. This season on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, we can look forward to A1 and Lyrica's marriage being put through the ringer, and so is A1's friendship with Safaree. We see Ray J and Princess having marriage problems as well. Tierra Marie is having more relationship problems. We know that a sex tape of her was released. So we get to see the insides of what was going on behind the scenes. Apple Watts is trying to be the next Jocelyn Hernandez. Brooke Valentine is unraveling and throwing a surprise wedding with Stefan from Family Matters. And K Michelle struggles with losing more booty and having, medical procedures done. And Moniece and AD's stripper friend get into it again. So that is the end of my review, you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I don't want to take up any more of you guys' time, and peace out, home slices.